Chapter 1.9, Inverse Functions. We're going to find inverse functions informally and verify that two functions are inverse functions of each other. Use graphs to verify that two functions are inverse functions of each other. Use a horizontal line test to determine whether functions are one-to-one, and find inverse functions algebraically. So first, let's recall inverse functions. So if I have function f of x is x plus 3, we have the points 1, 5, 2, 6, 3, 7, and 4, 8. The inverse of this function, f inverse of x, is x minus 4. The points we have are 5, 1, 6, 2, 7, 3, and 8, 4. The thing that I want you to notice is that the domain of f, our x values, is equal to the range of the f inverse, right? So it's switched. So the x's become the y's, and then the y's become the x's. So that's a key thing to remember in this section. So example 1, we're going to find an inverse function informally. Find the inverse of f of x equals 4 times x, then verify that both f of f inverse of x and f inverse of f of x are equal to the identity function. Basically, once you plug it in, doing the composition of functions, you should get x, right? If it's their inverses, then it will equal x. So first, let us find the inverse of f of x equals 4 times x. So first, you change f of x to y. Then, next step is you switch the roles of x and y. Then you solve for y. So we're going to divide by 4. So we know that f inverse of x is going to be x over 4. So we need to verify that both f and f inverse of x are equal to the identity function. So let's plug it in. F of f inverse of x equals, so f of the f inverse is x over 4. Then we're going to plug it into f. So f is 4, and then times x over 4. This does indeed equal x. So let's try it the other way. F inverse of f of x, so this is f inverse of x of 4x, and then we plug it into f inverse. Our f inverse is x over 4. So we have 4x over 4. And so again, this does indeed equal x. So try this example. Find the inverse function of f of x equals 1/5 of x, then verify that f and f inverse of x and f inverse of f of x are equal to the identity function. Pause the video and try it out. So if you tried this out, the inverse is 5x, and then if you verified it, you get f of 5 of x, 1/5 times 5x equals x. And then the same thing over here. So the definition of inverse functions, let f and g be two functions such that f of g of x equals x for every x in the domain of g, and g of f of x equals x for every x in the domain of f. Okay, so we're looking at the x in the domain of g and x in the domain of f, okay, in each of these. Under these conditions, the function g is the inverse function of the function f. The function g is denoted by f of inverse, read f inverse. So f of f inverse of x equals x, and f inverse of f of x equals x. The domain of f must be equal to the range of f inverse, and the range of f must be equal to the domain of f. So we're just going to use this rule to verify inverse functions, or the definition of the inverse function. So we're going to figure out which of the functions is the inverse function of f of x equals 5 over x minus 2. So let's practice. We have f of g of x. So we write f of, and our g of x is x minus 2 over 5. Then when we take that, we're going to plug it into here. So this equals 5 over x minus 2 over 5 minus 2. So first we need to combine like terms in our denominator. So what we have to do is multiply the 2 by 5 over 5 to get a common denominator. So this becomes 5 over x minus 2 minus 10 all over 5. So this is 5 over x minus 12 over 5. And then we're dividing. So we have x minus 12 over 5, which is really 5 divided by x minus 12 over 5. And when we're dividing by a fraction, you multiply the reciprocal. So therefore, this is 25 over x minus 12. We did not get x back, so lots of work, but that didn't work. So let's go ahead and try f of h of x. See if that works. So f of our h of x is 5 over x plus 2. And so we're going to plug that in again where that x value is. So we have 5 over x plus 2, and then minus 2. So the minus 2 goes away. We have 5 over 5x, and then again you multiply by the reciprocal. So therefore this is x. So this is the function that is inverse to 5 over x minus 2. Try this example. Which of the functions is the inverse function of f of x equals x minus 4 over 7? So if you try this out, g of x is the inverse of f of x. And so essentially, once you figure that out, you don't have to do the rest of it, right? We're okay. So this actually should be x. Okay, so this is the one that works, the g of x. Hope this helps out. Thanks for watching.